Hello and welcome to Rise of Humanity. I am your host, Chris Karamaya, and for today's episode, I'm very pleased to be joined by Danielle Laura. Danielle is a personal development and leadership coach on an amazing mission of empowering ambitious and driven women to step into their zone of genius so they can live life with purpose, confidence, and make a real and authentic impact in the world. Danielle has a master's degree in human services counselling, and she brings an awesome wealth of life experience to the table in her work. So, Danielle, it's wonderful to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Awesome. So, if we could just start by digging in a little bit more to the work that you do and how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a personal development and leadership coach, as you said. I'm also a healer and spiritual mentor for soulful light workers. And I really work with my clients to help them align with their higher self by unlocking their own unique spiritual and intuitive gifting. Really understand their own energy and the field of energetics and how that works for them, so that they can break past any barriers in their own lives in order to really up level in every aspect of their life in order to operate at 100%, using all of their abilities and gifts so that they can truly live a fulfilled life while also making their greatest impact in the world.
Nice. My kind of stuff, that is.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So obviously it's going to vary, probably can be quite varied from client to client, but what does life begin to look like? What kind of things happen when you begin to align with that highest version of yourself, or the higher self, as you put it?
Yeah. So when you are able to become so self aware and develop this higher level of consciousness where you're the observer of your thoughts and emotions, actions, so forth, you allow yourself to have control over that rather than every emotion and thought and feeling controlling you and kind of spinning you out of control in a sense. So aligning with your higher self really allows you to unlock your greatest gifts that are unique to you. And everybody has, their own spiritual and intuitive gifts that are so special to who they are. And it's a matter of becoming still and being able to get in touch with that higher version of yourself and really go inward and work through the shadow parts of yourself, right? Working through the energetic barriers that have really held you back in life, right? Acknowledging those, working through those, and developing this higher level of consciousness where you are opening your gifts in full force and using them in your own life to serve your greatest good, and in turn, help others serve the best that they can as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, yeah, it's that process of, like, the way I see it is, if optimal performance is, like, if you see it as a straight line across, and then you take those dips down where you feel the negativity coming in, or there's that shadow side, as you said it, and it's kind of like creating that consistent flow where you are able to live, optimally, and then you can make the impact that you really want to make. That's kind of what I get from what you're saying.
Absolutely. And, I think that, so many people have this common misconception that spirituality is all positive, right? You
Yeah.
have to focus on all the things that are good and all light and love, right? But honestly, true spirituality is hearing, feeling, seeing, and knowing everything in a very real way. And that includes both the positive and negative things. And when you're able to acknowledge and understand kind of the shadows, the things that aren't so positive, and see things for what they truly are, instead of what you want them to be in a more pleasing reality, I think that's where the freedom of true spirituality comes into play.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's where a lot of I'm sure you've seen this, that's where a lot of the work, the growth occurs when that
Mhm.
friction, that resistance takes place. That's when there's some magic trying to reveal itself to you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So, um, one of the things that you talk about a lot, I've looked through your website, is balance and boundaries, and it seems like that's quite an important part of your teaching. Could you just talk a bit about being able to find consistent balance and boundaries and the importance of it and what that opens up for you in life?
Yes, yes. So, if you're anything like me, which is a very high performing, high achieving type of person, very driven, we tend to strive and go, go, go until we hit the next goal, right? And as soon as we hit that, we're on to the next. And it's kind of this vicious cycle of perfectionism that really leads to burnout. And I found in my own life, as I lived essentially that life my entire life up until just a few years ago, um, it leads to stress, to depletion, to exhausting your energy with everything that is within you, to where it's hard to even function, right? Your health might decline. It did for me. You lose touch with a lot of the personal relationships in your life because you're just so focused and honed into one thing that that you're not allowing yourself to actually live. You're existing. You're trying to get to the next goal, but you're not thriving. And I've found in order to truly thrive, you have to have balance. And a key to having that balance is implementing healthy boundaries in your life that are going to support that balance. And a huge part of that is self-care and harnessing the unison between your masculine and feminine energies so that they're actually working in unison together, um, instead of opposing forces that are pulling at you. So when you finally establish healthy boundaries in place, you really have to set the non-negotiables. You have to determine what is it that I need in my own life that is going to help me be my highest self each and every day. If that is, starting your day with meditation, or having, working out for an hour, or painting, whatever that is for you, literally anything. Setting those boundaries in place for you to have that in your own life so that you can continue to thrive and operate at 100% of all that you are. And when you set those boundaries in place, you immediately start shifting the balance to where you're not overdoing, but you're leveling everything out to where you are actually thriving, and everyone around you in turn can thrive better because they're getting the best version of you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I think the it's touched on it there about I think the finding that balance of masculine and feminine energy is so important. Like I think that's just like I mean for me personally when I really lock into that balance and just step into it, it's so powerful. It's just like you're in flow, you're feeling like you're emotionally balanced, but you have that real masculine power just to get stuff done, and it doesn't drain you, it doesn't wear you out. But there's times when you have to step back and go more into that feminine and just have some quiet time. And there's also times in life as well, where you might have to push into the masculine a bit more. I suppose
Mhm.
it is a balancing act, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. That is so key, Chris, to really, it's a game changer. For me, it was an absolute game changer finding the balance of my masculine and feminine energies and allowing those to work in unison together. I think by nature, most of us are either, more masculine or feminine dominant, one or the other. And sometimes we go through life and we don't even realize this. And this cycle of things continue and we're not even consciously aware. For me, I am much, as a female, I'm much more dominant in my masculine energy. Naturally, in life in terms of, striving, the goal setting, the strategy, the drive to no matter what the cost, get it done and, be your best, right? Whereas the feminine energy is leading with that intuition part of you, focusing in on getting still and quiet, surrendering, actually being able to hear and feel and know what it is that you are meant to do. And without the feminine, without being able to tap into that part of you, the strategy and the masculine and the drive is going to lead nowhere. You're just going to get burnt out and you're going to be spinning your wheels in this vicious cycle that is not actually serving your highest path because you're doing everything on your own will and out of your own strength versus surrendering to the ultimate strength and allowing God, source, creator, to be guiding you and everything you do to be guided by that. So the balancing between the masculine and feminine energies is so, so important so that you can actually be in tune, know what you're doing and be guided in that way, but also have the intuitive strategy and determination behind it to actually make things happen and get where you want to go.
Yeah, because I mean, you said it all there. Really, if you don't have that some sort of high level of thinking or intuition available, or are you just acting as like a physical being in the physical world all the time? It's exhausting,
Yes,
and you have
absolutely.
to. It accelerates things dramatically if you can tap into that higher or that feminine energy. Yeah. Um, so what was like? Was there a tipping point for you? Because I mean, I've read through the bio on your website, and it sounds like you really, really like pushed like 70 to 100 hours a week at one point. Like
Mhm.
really pushed it to the limit. Was there a time? Was there like a series of tipping points, or was it just like one time where it's like I just can't do this anymore?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's so true. So, my entire life has been driving and pushing and striving and, being the high performer and high achiever and constantly wanting to compete with myself, right? To be better than I was yesterday. And this stemmed all the way from my childhood, throughout my whole life. But yeah, even through college and graduate school, I when I was in full time grad school, I was working, three jobs, like you said, working at 70 to 100 hours a week while in full time grad school, trying to make it all happen and, climb that corporate ladder and continue to grow and excel. And I did, my dedication and drive landed me huge opportunities at a very young age. And I'm so thankful for that. But because I've learned so much and it's made me even more of who I am. However, yeah, living in that lifestyle, I completely burnt out, right? I was trying to give from a really empty vessel. And when you give already from a vessel that's empty, it's like there's literally nothing left, right? Not even steam. And you just burn out and your body shuts down. And that's what happened to me. I went through a series of health crises and I finally, I finally came to the realization of this is not how I want to live. This is not thriving. I'm existing and I'm pushing and I'm slaying my goals, right? And I'm living this life of service. But ultimately that's not going to last if I keep on this path. I knew I needed to understand the deeper awareness of my inner guide, of who I am truly, who I was truly made to be, and that it's not about the doing, it's not about the striving, it's about centering yourself, allowing yourself to become grounded and aware and conscious of who you are and where you want to go. And then, allowing those masculine and feminine energies to work together to actually get you there. So I would say, it was an accumulation of several events in my life that finally took me to this breaking point where I came to the realization of I can either continue on this path or I can change, and I can be on the highest path, not just the path that I thought was good, right? And that's where the game changed for me. And I got really serious about the deep inner work, the personal development, the energetics behind life, the spirituality behind everything I do, and not just in a head knowledge, but making that connection between the head and the heart and actually living that out in my life.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's what everyone wants to do, really.
Yeah, and it's a process. I think,
Yeah,
people think, oh, I'm going to do this and it's going to just change overnight. I made the decision, so it is. And yes, you have to decide. That is that is the first step. But I think so many people give up because they expect instantaneous success or fulfillment, um, and everything in life is a process. And you can absolutely have quantum leaps and quantum shifts. And that's what I've experienced in my own life. But I think we get too caught up in the end result sometimes, that if we're not there in the time that, parameters that we set on ourselves, we think it's failure, right? But it's not. I think, for me, failure is quitting. And when things don't turn out the way we maybe had perceived them to or had wanted them to, I think that is our greatest opportunity to just go deep within again, switch gears, and try something new. No matter what, it's going to be a learning experience. And that is never failure.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it definitely is a huge process. I mean, it's taken me from the point that I was really consciously aware of what was going on around me. Even then, it took me about, I don't know, 4 years to really
Yeah.
lock in with my path. Even though I knew where I wanted to be, I just couldn't. You can't make it happen. You just have to keep following the process, and it took me years to really align with my purpose.
Yeah.
So it is a process, but obviously everyone's life path is different. Mine just seems to be, things can unfold very quickly, but it's a very gradual process. And one of the things that I've actually learned to uh, appreciate is, in my life anyway, the longer it takes something to manifest or occur, the richer the learning experience. So I've almost like
Mhm.
starting to be grateful for it now.
Yeah, I totally get that. I am also that person that, patience is not my greatest virtue. I definitely like things too. If I'm like, I'm going to do this, I expect it to happen right away. Like, what are we waiting for, right? Um, but yeah, the beauty comes in the waiting. The beauty is in the valley, in the journey, and in the hard times, in the waiting, is when you're able to really acknowledge the truest parts of yourself and work through things you never would have given yourself a chance to work through had everything have just happened at lightning speed. And for my own life, that's when I've had the most growth, when I've had
Yeah,
to be
that's
patient.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Exactly the same with me.
Yeah.
Nice. So, in, from making that shift, then, in terms of success and achievement, coming from like this, I suppose, a more pure place where you're not doing the striving. What does achievement look like to you now? I mean, I think some people think it's bad to want to achieve things and succeed and make money, and it's like, oh, I shouldn't push. But I think, yeah, I'd just love to get your take
Yeah,
on it, really.
no, that's a fantastic question. So at this point in my life, achievement does look very different. Um, Absolutely, I believe it's great to achieve. It's good to have goals. It's good to have things that you are working towards. Of course, but the shift comes in the surrender, in surrendering to what is going to be and not trying to alter your reality to shape it into what you think is best for yourself, right? But submitting to the higher power of God to work through your life in the way that is really going to be the most glorifying for all of humanity. And, that goes back to, leaning into that feminine divine power that is within you, of trusting your intuition, surrendering, and having faith that everything will work out the way it's supposed to, and having faith in each next step. It's not about knowing the whole staircase. And trust me, I was that person and I needed to see the whole staircase, right? But the whole essence of faith is trusting and believing, and even when you can't see. And so now my achievement is not in planning my whole entire life course like I did in the past, but in surrendering each and every single day to what I'm meant to do that day. And from there, each next step is revealed, and that's okay. And that's the beauty of the journey. And that's the beauty in being present and living in the now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Living. I suppose it's living in a guided life, and I suppose living how you were before is. I suppose it sounds like you're saying that was the opposite. Like you trying to control reality
Mm-hmm.
and make it look a certain way by working 70 to 100
Yeah.
hours a
Oh,
week.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The former me, I had my entire life planned out. I was the girl that literally, this is no joke, at 14 years old, I drew out a roadmap of my life and and what was going to happen at what ages, and what I was going to achieve, and I was really realistic about it too. I even threw in hard times. It wasn't like it was all good. I was it's just funny. It's funny to look back now and see the absolute transformation, of where I was to now. I was completely the type a perfectionist, planner extraordinaire, right? And now submitting to complete surrender and taking inspired action in what I'm led to do is how I achieve anything in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you have, obviously it's again it's a process really, but for that surrender, do you have a way, like process of surrendering, or that you've conditioned yourself to do it, like through meditation
Mhm.
or just consciously thinking about it throughout the day?
Yeah. So for me, I start for me, my non negotiable really I found is for me starting my day with meditation and prayer. First of all, right when I wake up, understanding before I even get out of bed, being into feeling into that conscious awareness of what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? Being present in my own body, my own mind, my own soul, and allowing any energy, any stagnant energy or negativity that I've carried with me to just wash away, and just clear and ground and protect my own energy, and go into a meditation of centering and feeling and praying through what it is that I am meant to do that day and the ways that I am meant to serve and be used for the highest good. And going through the day as well, a lot of times, especially if you're an empath or clairsentient, we're so prone to taking on the energies of other people. And that's something that also is a huge theme throughout my life, that I didn't even know on a conscious level was affecting me. But I really incorporated the practice of clearing and grounding my energy and doing a lot of chakra work as well, so that I can stay centered and grounded in my own energy and not take on all of the energy of everybody else, because that is also a contributing factor as to why you get drained so easily, and why your entire mood can shift or alter when you're around certain people or circumstances. So being consciously aware of that as I also go through my day as well, is also how I stay present.
Very nice. So I'm curious, what your, I mean, obviously having transition from corporate to
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. What's your opinion on? I mean, how does it like feel to you being an entrepreneur compared to working in the corporate world? Do you feel like it's more like in terms of expression of yourself?
Yeah, there is no comparison
Yeah.
for me. And you know what's funny, Chris? I never thought that I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like that was never a thing for me. I was always said I would be, climbing the corporate ladder. When I left corporate, I was running a medical center, and I liked my job. Right, before that, I was a counselor, and then I was in nursing field, and I was always on this path of being in the healing profession, because I knew that is what I was called to do. What my purpose is, with helping others heal. And when I finally came to the realization that that goes beyond the four walls of the corporate setting, and that it's beyond just the rules and regulations of corporate policy, I was able. That's when I started my own business, my own coaching and healing and mentoring business, and um, the freedom that you have in being fully and authentically yourself, and inspiring and empowering others to do that and be that for themselves, is truly the greatest fulfillment I have ever experienced in my life. There is no comparison to the freedom of expression and the beauty in being yourself, right? I think in this world, we're told what we should be and what we should do and what we can and cannot do. And we have all of these limitations around us that ultimately shape our reality. And we just go through life thinking, oh yeah, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what the world tells me I should do. But really, you can do whatever you want to do. And it takes that self-discovery to figure that out. And, I am a firm believer that any desire that is in your heart is there for a reason, that you are here on purpose and for a purpose greater than you may even understand in this moment. And that whatever you set your mind and your heart to and you commit to, you can achieve. So if that's starting your own business, doing what you love and what is authentic to you, do it. I dare you to do it, because no amount of fulfillment will ever compare to living out your true and highest purpose for your life.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I completely agree, and I'm in the process of setting up my own coaching business as well. So it's definitely
Oh,
been
yeah.
an awesomely transformational experience, and I just think entrepreneur is like the highest form of one of the highest forms of expressions available to
Yes.
humans. I mean, there's just something. It's like I see it as kind of being a creator, really. And if you,
Yeah, absolutely. You're constantly creating every day.
yeah, and it's been the when you go out and you become the well, you build your own ship and become the captain of it. I think that's like
Mhm.
the highest form of expression, really, in my view, anyway.
Absolutely. And that takes courage. And I think the reason why a lot of people don't, follow through or actually act upon the deepest desires of their heart is the lack of courage or the fear, right? The fear around failure. I know that's a big one that I come across in my own life and in the lives of my clients as well. And anytime we are up leveling in our life, right, and choosing a path that is going to catapult us into the greatest type of fulfillment, we as humans, of course, have these fears that come up, right? And, fear of failure, fear of, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me if I come out and own my authentic truth, right? How are my relationships going to change or differ? Are people going to actually be engaged with what I have to share, with what I have to do? Am I going to have a clear purpose? All of these things are normal fears. And the thing is, and really the key to entrepreneurship is, moving forward despite that fear, feeling the fear, acknowledging the fear, and doing it anyway, because the fire and passion in your heart burns so much greater than any temporary surface level fear. And so being courageous and deciding that you can believe in yourself and that you really are worth it, and that the world needs what you have to give. It desperately needs what you have to give. And when you shift your perspective and your focus from yourself and your own fears onto the greater good of humanity and how you are here to serve, you instantly gain the courage that you need to move forward.
Yeah, beautiful. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. And one of the things that I'd be interested to hear what your experience was like. But one of the things that I've noticed about setting up like a really authentic business that's an expression of you is it forces you to get to know yourself better. Like the transformation, like, and the expansion of awareness that's occurred in me like in the last 4 months without even working with a single client yet is just like incredible. Like it's like it just forced me to get to know myself on a completely new level. So I'd be interested to know how it kind of transformed you as well.
Oh yeah, that is the absolute truth. When when you're in corporate or you're working for somebody else, you have that padded cushion there of what you're supposed to do. If you show up and you do a good job, you're going to get a steady paycheck. You kind of know what's expected of you, right? Versus entrepreneurship is using using your own guidance to lead the way in every step. And to do that, you have to go deep and face some really ugly and harsh shadows of yourself, right? In order to overcome them to the point where you can think clearly and rationally to make every next guided step, because you're creating that reality for yourself. There's no one doing it for you anymore. And when you have to step up to the plate and kind of put that armor on for yourself, the whole game changes.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the actual coaching work that you do. Do you work with, is it primarily like female entrepreneurs, or do you just work with, or do you work with women in corporate as well?
I do. I started out working with women in corporate, but I have shifted to working with other spiritual entrepreneurs as well. Mm-hmm.
Nice. So what kind of results, what kind of outcomes do you provide for them? What's the process like, I suppose, of when someone comes to sign up with you and they want to work with you?
Sure. Yeah. No. Great question. So I use my coaching style is very different from the typical coaching out there. I use a combination of deep transformational coaching combined with the deep energy work, right? Energy healing work, as well as my own intuitive insight and my abilities, which have opened in full bloom since really exploring the deeper inner workings of myself. I've really come into, it's actually when I started learning Reiki and getting attuned to Reiki, is when my intuitive abilities bloomed in full force, right, into full intuitive mediumship. So the way that my gifts work is I have the ability to see, hear, feel, and know into every part of one's life as we're tuning in to that energy, and be able to see, where you are, why you're there, and the steps, that it's going to take to get you to where you want to be, and help you understand and master that for yourself. So it's not just me telling you what you need to do, right? It's helping you create that conscious awareness, aligning with the higher part of yourself to really tap in and unlock your own spiritual gifting. And from there, huge shifts begin to take place. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, on every level. It's kind of this quantum leap of, you were, shedding the old self and becoming new, kind of this rebirth of who you are truly meant to be. So we do deep coaching work. I use a lot of modalities that I used in counseling, but on a way deeper level, to see into the real heart of the issue, to get to the core wound, the core pattern, the block that is holding you back from being all that you are, right? Not just focusing on the surface level symptoms of a deeper issue. I get to the heart of the issue. So I do really deep inner work with my clients. And from there, we also do a lot of energy work and energy healing. And I also teach them how to do this for themselves as well. And also use my intuitive insight and guidance to help them understand for themselves and tap into that higher part of themselves also. So it's a really a beautiful matrix of, higher self-guidance and tapping into their true, unique truth, true to them, deep truth, and bringing that out so they can live that out in full force and have all of their own unique gifts and spirituality working at 100% capacity for them to then be their best and help others in the greatest ways possible.
Incredible. That's awesome.
You.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting to me. I love that kind of work, and I think that's definitely the most transformational. I think I'd be interested to get your take on it as well. But I think, like, from what I've studied in business and what I've seen, it's like a lot of people chase like better business strategies, like, if I get better at marketing, if I get better at sales or advertising or whatever it is, then it'll just fix my business. But it's like, I think it's the inner world, and everything that you just described is what really creates that transformation in business, and it's those other things kind of just click into place like afterwards, as and when you need them, really.
Oh my gosh, 100%. You can have, anybody can give you a business strategy. Anybody can tell you what, will help you in your life or your business, but that might not be what actually is unique to you, right? Until you do, I'm a firm believer, until you do the inner work and get clear and aligned on the inside, know who you are, what you are here for, the way you uniquely you are meant to serve, then you're not going to see the kind of success on the outside that you long for until that inner work is done. Because we better serve others when we are self-aware and have total clarity in ourselves and what we do, which allows us in turn to gain insights that will ultimately help our clients in greater ways. So there's no one size fits all method to success. there's not. And anybody that tells you there's only one way to do something doesn't have their own self-awareness there, right? And that's something to be cautious of. Everybody is unique, multidimensional creatures, and you ultimately, only you in the depths of your soul know what is right for you. And it just takes awakening that part of you. So having a mentor or a guide to help you awaken who you are and not just tell you what you should do because it's what they think you should do is the key, is the true key in having actual success that's going to be there for the long term and living out your highest purpose.
Amazing. Definitely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Nice. That's so cool. Yeah. And I'm curious how obviously having unlocking the intuition and that has brought a completely new element to your coaching. Has that impacted your personal life and the way that you succeed as well?
Yes, in every way possible. You can't, you're only going to get so far. And I know because I lived it, you're only going to get so far relying on your own strength or what you think is the best for your life. Right. And that evolves as we evolve. If you were to ask me these questions a year ago, my answers would be completely different. Right. So as we evolve and we grow spiritually, it's pivotal to go within, to learn to trust your intuition and your unwavering truth to where you don't have to look outside of yourself anymore. You don't have to find your identity in anyone else or in a job or in, the money that you're getting for something, right? You can have the awareness and the trust in yourself. You don't have to seek the approval of others or the ultimate truth of others because you'll know your own ultimate truth. And that is what sets you free.
Nice. Yeah, cool. And how, if for anyone listening who might be still on the other side like you were many years ago, how do you, what kind of advice or inspiration would you give to take on the challenge and walk through the fire and get through to where you are today?
Yeah. I say if you have a burning passion in your heart to do something, absolutely owe it to yourself to explore that. Go deep, take a good hard look at yourself, get raw and real, face the shadow, face the fears, ask yourself why aren't you doing it, right? You know in your soul if you're doing what you're meant to do or not, right? When I was in corporate, I didn't hate my job at all. I actually really liked what I did, but I still knew in the depths of my soul there had to be more. Like that wasn't it, right? So for anyone listening, you already know in your soul if you're doing what you're meant to do or not. And if you're not on the path that you want to be on, you have to have the courage, find it within yourself to explore that and face your fears, feel the fear and do it anyway. And allow yourself to go deeper than you've ever gone before. Allow yourself to get still and surrender your will to the higher will, and allow yourself to take inspired action in each and every step. You don't have to figure out the whole plan. You don't have to see the whole staircase. But as you get these intuitive downloads, as these nudges come to you and you have no idea where they're coming from, or you think it's this seemingly random idea, it's not random. It's connected to your purpose and you're meant to follow it. If you feel called to go somewhere if you're drawn to someone or to work with someone, that's because it's part of your soul's purpose and it's part of a greater plan. And it's time for you to answer that soul call. It's been knocking and you know it, and it's time. and you just have to take one step forward with that inspired action and have the courage to look within, and your entire life will change. It really will. And just continue forth. Just trust and surrender to the process, and trust that every next step is exactly what you need at that point.
Nice. Amazing advice. I'm smiling and nodding.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like the perfect advice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So, what does the future hold for you then? Have you got any sort of kind of long-term visions at all, or are you really kind of just taking it step by step?
Ooh, I have a lot of long-term visions, right? But truly, I'm taking it each day at a time. I am so in love and lit up from doing this healing work and this mentoring and going deep with my clients and allowing them to really blossom into the greatest and highest version of themselves. That is absolutely what lights me up. So I'm going to take each opportunity as it comes and feel into what is right for me and what I feel is right in helping, the greater good of humanity. So I'm just feeling into that each day.
Nice, cool. So, would you like to share with the listeners where they can find out more about you and your work?
Yes, of course. They can find me on Instagram or Facebook, where I post daily inspiration. My Instagram is _Danielle Laura _, and Facebook is at Danielle Laura Coaching. And if they'd like to find out more in depth about the work I do or the opportunity for mentorship, they can visit my website at www.danielle-laura.com.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. It's been an awesome conversation, and just thank you very much for coming on and sharing all of your awesome wisdom today with the listeners.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it. It was just an honor and real pleasure to connect with you and your listeners today. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. So that is all for today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. And I'll put the links to Danielle's website and her social media in the show notes so you can check that out and check out her awesome work on the web. So thank you all so much for listening, and I'll catch you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.